There are places you walk into every day that never feel dangerous. Rooms you don't think about, doors you don't hesitate before opening, spaces that you trust to let you back out again. Until one day, the door closes. It's midnight somewhere, and tonight I have a story for you. Nguyet Le was 63 years old. She was a mother, she was a manager, she was somebody that had spent years opening restaurants before the staff arrived, moving quietly through empty kitchens, setting up the day so that everything would run smoothly once the doors of the restaurants opened. And she was very, very good at what she did. So good that when a newer store in Louisiana needed help getting up to speed, she agreed to go over and assist for a short period of time. 2 weeks at first, which then soon extended into another 2, which was nothing dramatic or out of the ordinary. Just one more extension, one more ordinary decision in a life full of them. That morning, Lee arrived early, the building was quiet, the dining area was still dark, and the kitchen smelled of cleaning solution from the night before's cleanup. She moved through the prep stations, setting up for the morning. She then walked toward the back, towards the freezer, and she pulled the walk-in freezer door, which was quite heavy given Lee's small size. Now, according to later reports, the latch mechanism on the door wasn't working properly. The internal handle had issues, and staff had developed workarounds to keep it open while moving in and out and shifting supplies. A screwdriver used to release the latch from the outside and to hold the latch opened, and a box placed near the door to stop it from swinging shut. Small fixes to make an annoying problem quite workable. The kind of quiet compromise that becomes invisible when you repeat it over and over every single day. So, Lee, getting everything ready for the day, unlocked the latch by sliding in the screwdriver, and she pushed the heavy door open. Cold air spilled around her legs, and like everyone did every single day, she slid a box in place to hold the door open. Inside the freezer, the air was sharp enough to sting the back of her throat. It was bitterly cold. The walls were pale, the floor was hard beneath her shoes. The low mechanical hum of the refrigeration unit filled the space that Lee was working in. She bent down to lift a box from one of the lower shelves, when behind her she heard something shift. Just a soft sound, the soft sound of a scraping cardboard box against concrete. The box holding the door tilted, and the door began to move. It didn't slam violently, it closed the way that heavy doors do. Slow at first, and then shut. As it shut, the automatic light went out and the freezer went completely dark. Now, Lee knew that this wasn't good. As she heard the box shift and the door shut, she could have raced for the door, but instead she didn't move. She just stood there, completely frozen in time, with the box in her hand, listening to the door close behind her. And now she was left standing in the pitch black dark, in a cold freezer, trying to orientate herself again. In an instant like this, your brain doesn't accept darkness instantly, it reaches for shapes that aren't there. She turned back toward where the door should be, and she reached out, and her hand felt the cold metal. She pushed, but nothing happened. She pushed again, harder this time, but the door didn't move. In the pitch black darkness, she dropped down to her knees, feeling along the floor, hoping that the screwdriver that opened the door had fallen out on the inside of the door where she was. Her fingers brushed up against cardboard, against plastic wrap, against the edges of boxes, but the screwdriver wasn't there. The latch on the outside had fallen back into place when the door slammed shut. And from inside, there was nothing to turn, there was nothing to grip, and there was no handle to pull. She stood and she slammed her shoulder into the door. The sound was dull, swallowed by the thick insulation of the refrigeration unit. And the door absorbed most of the impact, and it gave absolutely nothing back. Lee banged on the metal with her fists, once, twice, again and again, but she knew even as she was hitting it that there was nobody outside. Nobody else was due to arrive for at least an hour. She'd come in early and the building was completely empty. Now, in the clothes that she was wearing, she knew that she wouldn't last 10 minutes in this temperature, let alone an hour before anybody else started to arrive. The cold itself was already starting to work its way into her hands. Her fingers burned, and then she began to lose the feeling in them. She stumbled back in the darkness, feeling the walls on the shelves for anything that she could use to try and pry the door open, but there was absolutely nothing there. Just boxes of frozen food, solid, unyielding. She could feel her body starting to really slow down, and each breath felt sharper in her chest, and the air hurt to pull in. Her lungs tightened with every cold inhale. She made her way back to the door again, and this time she hit it with everything that she possibly had. She struck the metal over and over and over again, not caring if she hurt herself. This was no longer an exercise of frustration. She knew that this was survival. She screamed into the darkness. Her voice sounded small in the freezer, thin, already being swallowed by the cold and the walls. She hit the door again and again and again, over and over, and she yelled louder and louder, hoping irrationally that somebody, just somebody, might be walking past, or that somebody might hear her, or that the world outside the door might move in that exact moment that she needed it to move. But the building remained completely empty, and the door remained closed. When Lee's son and a co-worker arrived later to begin their shift, something felt wrong. The prep work hadn't been finished, the morning routine looked like it had been interrupted, and in the back area near the freezer, they noticed the box on the floor. They also noticed a screwdriver lying where it had fallen out of the latch. They opened the freezer door, and very sadly inside, Lee was curled inwards against the cold. Her body was drawn into herself, her hands were injured from striking the door in the dark. She'd walked into a space she entered as part of her daily routine, and the door had closed behind her. Lee didn't die because she was looking for danger. She died because a familiar space quietly turned into a trap. Because a door she'd opened 100 times before closed once in the wrong way. Because she was alone in a building that would soon be full of hundreds of people. Most fatal moments, they don't announce themselves. They don't feel like endings when they begin. They feel like routines, like small delays, like something that we fix in just a second. And by the time the light goes out, there may be no one there to see it. Until next time, I'll see you at midnight.